You enter a space that feels simultaneously familiar and alien. Not a physical place, but an inner chamber of memory, crafted from what you once tried to forget. The air here is heavier than it should be, as if every particle has absorbed someone else's words, expectations, unspoken words. You don't yet understand where you are, but this place knows more about you than you're willing to admit. The room of broken toys opens before you, a symbol of what was once needed but never received. No matter how old you are, inside every person lives a child, still waiting for someone to fix what was once broken. But this room is not a museum of the past, but a living repository of unfulfilled needs. You cross the threshold, and the soft creak of the door seems to remind you. People come here not for entertainment, but for the truth. The floor is strewn with toys, wooden cars, teddy bears, plastic soldiers, broken clockwork mechanisms. Each toy is damaged in its own way. The ball has a crack, the robot is missing an arm, the doll has no face, the teddy bear has a torn side, and cotton wool is spilling out. But, as strange as it may sound, there are no random objects in this room. Each toy is a reflection of what you were denied at the right moment. These are not just childhood objects. They are symbols of unmet needs that time has not been able to erase. Psychologists call this an internal archive of trauma, but for you, it's just a room you've long avoided looking into, even though it's always been there. You bend down and pick up the first toy, a small car without wheels. It seems light, almost weightless, but in your hand there's a strange heaviness, as if it were filled with something you can't touch. And then a quiet whisper of understanding appears inside. This is the toy of a need that never found its way. Your desire to move forward, to feel supported, to be sure that someone will catch you if you fall. The car without wheels isn't just broken. It shows that in those moments when you needed someone to lean on, no one was there. You carefully put it back, and what you see is a teddy bear that was once huggable. Now it's missing an eye, and its crookedly stitched paw reminds you of attempts to fix what was already damaged. This is the toy of the need for warmth. When a child doesn't receive enough affection, they learn to warm themselves, but the cold hidden deep inside still remains. This bear says, "I'm here because you never allowed yourself to need others." You continue to look around and notice a music box that's not finishing its tune. Each time, it stops in the same place, as if afraid of its end. It's a symbol of unfulfilled expectations, the melody of a relationship or a dream that was cut short. Its soft sound reminds you that you once believed in more than you received. In this room, every toy isn't just an object. It's a fragment of something you weren't given. The right to cry, the right to be angry, the right to ask for help, the right to be imperfect. And each toy is a moment that, for some reason, was interrupted, suppressed, or devalued by adults who couldn't cope with themselves. But in the corner stands the one that draws the eye most strongly. The main toy, the one from which all the other cracks emanate. It could be anything, Everyone has their own, but it's always the same in meaning, the main thing that was missed. You pick it up, and a feeling appears inside that's hard to bear. For some, it's a doll that has been deprived of speech, a peculiar symbol of a person forbidden to express emotions or demand attention. For others, it's a little soldier without legs, symbolizing the helplessness they had to hide from. For others, it's a teddy bear without buttons, a symbol of insecurity. You look at this toy and understand why you've been repeating the same relationships, the same scenarios, the same mistakes for so many years. Because the toy in your hands dictated your life. It defined how you choose your partners, who you allow to be near you, why you tolerate what hurts, why you're afraid to ask for more than they give. This toy isn't a cute thing. It's stronger than it seems. And that's why you avoided this place. You can't leave here without facing it. This room isn't dangerous because it contains broken toys. The danger is that people try to live as if this room doesn't exist. They go in circles, repeating old stories, choosing familiar pain because it's safer than the unknown. They avoid intimacy or, conversely, cling to anyone who's given them even a little warmth. They bury their needs so deeply that they stop understanding what they truly want. They think their life is just a collection of circumstances, but in reality, it's a collection of broken toys that continue to control them from the shadows. But at some point, a person still returns here. Sometimes after a loss, sometimes because of burnout, sometimes because it becomes too quiet inside. And then he sits down on the floor of this room, among the broken things, and for the first time allows himself to think, what of this am I still trying to fix with someone else's hands? He takes a toy and begins to fix it, clumsily, childishly, but sincerely. And at that moment, when the needle passes through the fabric, when the pieces of plastic are glued together, when the melody of the box plays even one note further, what a person has always feared happens. He begins to change. He stops demanding from the world what the world never promised. He stops waiting for someone to come along and give him back his childhood. He stops living in the hope that someone else's love will fix him better than he can. He stops believing that you need to earn the right to be yourself. And here's the most important thing. When a person fixes a toy inside himself, he's not fixing it. He's fixing a need. The need for warmth, the need for acceptance, the need for security, the need for unconditional love. And when the need is healed, the room changes. It doesn't disappear, but it stops being a dumping ground. It becomes a museum of your history, a place where you can come to remember how far you've come, a place where every toy no longer hurts, but says, you survived, you grew, you became someone you weren't supposed to be, but you did anyway. You leave the room, but it stays with you, not as a dark stain on the past, but as evidence that even broken parts can be part of a whole person. And if you ever feel like you're losing your direction again, that life is becoming too repetitive, too hard, too empty, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that the room of broken toys is calling you again. not to scare you, not to punish you, but to remind you it's time to fix something else. You close the door, but for the first time, not with pain, but with understanding. This room has always been with you. It's just that now you know there's nothing scary inside. There's only what was once yours and what you're now able to reclaim.